Hey everybody, it's CNR Beauty Bar coming to you. I'm Shanika,
I'm Rika.
and thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to be talking about taking care of your protective styles while we are in this shutdown and quarantine. The information that we give you will be applicable to everyday life, so even when the quarantine is lifted, you will still be able to use these tips that we're giving you today.
Yes. We want to do a little housekeeping. Make sure that you all are following us on all of our social media. We are on Facebook, CNR Beauty Bar, YouTube, shout out to YouTube, CNR Beauty Bar, and on Instagram, we are CR Beauty Bar. And our webpage is www.candrbeautybar.com. And that way you can get more information about our location as well as services that we offer in the salon. So make sure that you go and check it out, like it, share it, review it. We'd really greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, so our overview for today is that we're going to talk about, like what Shanika said, we're going to talk about protective styling. What is a protective style? We're also going to talk about the prep before you do a protective style. We're going to talk about the different types of protective styles. And we're also going to talk about hair and scalp care during your protective style. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the takedown, what to do afterwards. Okay, so let's jump right in it and let's talk about what is a protective style. Shanika, do you want to?
Sure, absolutely. So, protective style is any type of style that you can do to your hair that is going to protect mainly the ends of your hair. But in general, it will protect the whole hair shaft. It's going to be protecting it from the sun, any type of heat, um, uh, physical manipulation, so styling, shampooing, tugging, blow drying, that kind of thing. And the overall goal of a protective style is to protect your ends so that you aren't causing tangles and knots, and that you're also not causing split ends. It's going to cause you to have to get your hair trimmed maybe more than you want to. Also, protective styles are great for letting your hair grow and to let your hair rest, kind of like what we are all doing now. We're kind of resting and growing in this quarantine time. So you can think of a protective style like your hair is in quarantine. And
that's a good analogy, Shanika. That's a really good analogy.
No choice but to rest and grow.
Okay, so that's a protective style. So it also keeps you, like what Shanika said, just no manipulation. So you're just really like resting your hair. And so let's talk about what to do before you do a protective style. So prep before your protective style. So as a professional, I always like to make sure that the scalp care is on point before I do any type of protective style, because you're resting your hair, you're not going to be manipulating it, you're not going to be brushing through it or combing through it. And so if you have a scalp issue, it's really important to address that before you do your protective style so that your scalp issue does not get exaggerated during while you have your protective style in. So I always like to do some type of scalp treatment to the hair, scalp treatment to the scalp before I do a protective style. I like to follow that up with a clarifying shampoo. A clarifying shampoo is something that is a little bit heavier than like a hydrating shampoo. And what that is going to do is going to take all of the product buildup that you have on your actual hair strands out of the hair, so that as you're wearing your protective style, you don't have to worry about additional buildup onto the hair. And then thirdly, I like to follow that up with a deep conditioning treatment. Two things: you did your scalp care, you did a clarifying or chelating shampoo, and then you want to make sure that you put that hydration back into the hair, because if you don't, you really just kind of like expose the hair to a lot. And so you want to try to trap in that moisture. And the whole point of a protective style is to try to protect, the hair. So you want to do a hydrating, deep conditioning treatment. And also just a little to be mindful that sometimes when you wear extensions as a part of your protective style, that the extension hair can sap some moisture from the actual hair strands. Do you agree with that, Shanika?
I do. In particular, when you're wearing braided styles, the synthetic hair is usually like Tenacolon or Teocolon type of hair that we traditionally get our braids with. They can be treated with certain chemicals like alkalins that can be very drying to the hair. Alkalins are like akin to some of the same chemicals we might find in actual chemical services like a relaxer or like a color service. So those things can be a little bit drying to the hair. So think about if you have a protective style in and you have these braids, this synthetic hair all along each strand of your hair, you're going to have to replenish whatever's taken out from the synthetic hair being attached to your own hair.
Yes, correct. And then the fourth step is to make sure that your hair is detangled. So a lot of people, my prep is usually I let my hair air dry before I do like a crochet or like single braids, box braids, knotless braids, whatever your pleasure is. And that way I don't have to put additional heat on my hair from like blow drying. Right. And so it just really helps to kind of seal in the moisture from my hair. And but I make sure that it is detangled properly. Now, if I'm doing a different style, I may blow it out and style it different and prep it differently. But that's usually kind of a good go-to 4-step way of making sure that your hair is properly prepped for the protective style. Okay.
Right. I just want to add a little side note. There may seem like some steps that we're skipping, like the shampoo and the regular conditioner. Today, we're strictly focusing on protective styles. Last week, we did a live on how to care for your natural hair. And if you want a few more tips about how to get from A to Z when prepping for your protective style, go on over to YouTube and check out that video. All the information that you need is on there. Okay.
Yes. That's a good note, Shanika. Okay, so next, now that your hair is prepped, we're going to talk about your styling options, the different types of protective styles that you can entertain. There are several types. There is the 2-strand twist, which is like my favorite protective style. Because you can get kind of like 2 styles out of that one. You can wear the 2-strand twist for a while, and then you can do a twist out. And those usually look wonderful after you've worn your 2-strand twist for a while. The next style is your flat twist. So a flat twist is just using 2 strands to almost kind of like cornrow the hair. And it is a protective style as well. And another favorite, because you can get 2 styles out of that protective style as well. You can wear the flat twist just as is. And you can also do a twist out. The next one would be cornrows. So those are traditional cornrows in any style. They don't have to be straight backs. You can do pretty much any style of cornrows. You can do that with hair added. You can do it with no hair added. It just really depends on what your liking is. And Shanika, do you want to add in some of your favorite protective styles?
Absolutely. My favorite is 2 favorites. My favorite is flat twist because they just make such the most beautiful texture when you untwist the hair. Also, you kind of get a 2-for-1 in the style, so that's awesome. And then I also like a good weave, y'all. And this is weave kind of piggybacks off of braids and cornrows. if you get a weave, you're going to have your hair cornrowed, braided somehow underneath the weave. Also, if you get crochets, if you wear a wig or a unit, your foundation is gonna be braids or cornrows as well. So I do like a good curly weave, curly specifically, and I like a flat twist.
Yeah. Right. So wigs and weaves can be protective styles because your hair is tucked away underneath the wig or the weave. The crochet, same thing. Your hair is tucked underneath the wig, the crochet as well. The problem is that some people leave their wigs, weaves, or crochets in a little bit too long. And so you don't want to do that because then it's going to be counterproductive to your protective style. If you leave it in too long, it's going to just cause extra pulling and tangling, as well as maybe some scalp issues and things like that. And so you don't want to leave those in too long so that you don't have those issues, and then it's not protective at all. It's actually causing more issues and concerns with your hair and scalp.
That's a good point, Rika. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, any of these type of styles that we're talking about, if you leave them in for too long, they don't become protective, they become damaging. Just keep that in mind. We know protective styles are easy, kind of carefree. They give you a break for a little while, but you want to be stay top of mind about maintenance and taking them out on regular intervals, which we will get into in a little bit.
Right. So, well, we can just talk about it because I think that we talked about this last week as far as like caring for your natural hair, but usually about an average of 6 weeks is about how much you need to leave your protective style in. If you leave it in longer than that, with proper care, you can maybe do 8, but you need to make sure that about every 6 weeks you are renewing that protective style. It's maybe 2-strand twists and flat twists. You need to do a little bit more regularly. So that would be maybe every 2 weeks or maybe every 3 weeks. But braids, crochets, weaves, wigs, I think it's a really great idea to set about every 6 weeks to renew and redo the protective style.
I agree. And just want to touch on a little bit about why, if you don't really get why you need to take it out, you're going to have regrowth, new hair growing from your scalp. That new hair is going to meet the braid, and that hair is going to get compacted. It's going to collect sweat, dirt. It's going to tangle as it grows a little bit. And the more you let that hair grow, the more it's going to tangle, and the harder it's going to be for you to detangle that hair when you're ready to take it out. Some textures may even start forming knots or like locks underneath the protective style. So just keep that top of mind that, like I said once before, you could be causing more damage than good to your hair, okay?
Right. So there is a question that says, someone asked, how long should I keep my micro braids in? So braids just across the board. Again, we're just saying about every 6 weeks. Again, you don't want to cause any damage to the hair. And we talked about last week the different stages of hair growth and there being a shedding phase. So there is some shedding that's going on while you're wearing your protective style, and that kind of like builds up. And so then when you take your protective style out, which we'll talk about later, you'll have a lot of shedding. But if you have left it in too long and it's really, really tangled, when you're detangling, you can actually like rip your hair out. So you don't want to leave it in too long. And so that's our recommendation. 6 weeks on average, a little less than that if you're doing like a flat twist or 2-strand twist, and maybe a little bit more than that if you have proper care in between your protective style.
Absolutely. Somebody asked if this is guidelines for natural hair or relaxed hair. These guidelines go for all types of hair. When you think about like if you have relaxed hair, your ends, everything from your scalp out is relaxed. But if you have that protective style in and your hair starts growing, the hair coming out of your scalp is natural, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to start collecting debris. It's going to start to tangle and kind of get compacted. So these guidelines go for relaxed hair and natural hair across the board. And
I've just seen somebody ask, what's the proper way to wash your hair or scalp while you have your protective style. And so that was our next point that we were going to talk about, was hair care while you have your protective style. So one of the ways that you can take care of your hair during your protective style is by using an astringent to cleanse your scalp. And this works really well when you have like box braids in, Senegalese twist, or if you have crochet style in, because you can get to the scalp really easily. And so we're going to do a quick demo of how to do that. And so one of the things that you can do is you can use I like to use a light colored cloth or a cotton ball. And the astringent that you can use, my choice is always let's see, there we go, witch hazel. Let me cover up that brand, witch hazel, and it's a light astringent. It usually doesn't cause any type of irritation or anything like that, and you can get that easily from any drugstore. And so you would soak the cotton with the astringent. And then you literally go to your scalp and you use the astringent to cleanse your scalp as such. So you would go in each section and just cleanse your scalp just like that. And like I said, you can also do that with a light colored cloth as well. So same deal. Put the astringent onto the light colored cloth and you just get in there. And you don't want to be super, like rough with your hair, but you do want to apply a little bit of pressure to get that dirt and sweat and sebum off of your scalp.
Rika, is there a reason you like to use a light colored cloth versus, let's say, a black one or a blue one?
Because then you can see the dirt and you can see if you need to continue to wipe in that area or if you can move on to the next area.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then go ahead, Shanika.
I was just going to say that I also like to use witch hazel a lot in addition to any kind of antiseptic cleanser or a tonic that is specifically made for the scalp. These usually have a little bit more ingredients in it to help specifically address scalp issues like dandruff or dermatitis or anything like that. And these two go great hand in hand. You would kind of do the witch hazel first and do the antiseptic second. A lot of times, though, the antiseptic may have a stronger smell to it. Not a smell, but just like the aroma, the fragrance that's in it. And you may want to do a light rinse to get that smell out, which that might either look like you let the shower head run over your scalp with no physical manipulation, or you can go back with another cloth with a water bottle and spray the cloth and wipe the same way you did with the witch hazel and that will be the step after you use the antiseptic.
Exactly. So someone asked if I have box braids or knotless braids. I just did regular box braids. So another step that you would want to make sure that you follow up if you do the antiseptic for your scalp, or if you do the witch hazel, would be to go back in and put some oil onto your scalp. And so this is a rice bran oil. We carry it in the salon. We like to use this particular type of oil because it's hypoallergenic. So we don't have to worry about people with like nut allergies and things like that having any type of adverse reaction to the oil. And so you would just go in and you can use your finger. I usually have a bottle with like a little point on it, but finger is good too. So you just apply a little bit of oil to your finger. And then you go in just right at the scalp and you put that in onto the scalp. The good thing about oil is you can also rub it onto your hands, and you can rub it onto the actual like braid or twist or whatever it is that you have in at the time. If you have a weave or wig, I would not necessarily suggest applying oil to the hair, because it can weigh the wig or weave down and cause buildup in the hair, and it kind of makes it look not as good. So I would refrain from the oil if you have a wig or weave. But for braids, crochets, and things like that, you can definitely use an oil onto the actual strand.
Absolutely. We like any type of liquid oil that is natural. So when we say natural, like basically something that you can eat, and something that you can use from head to toe. So that rice bran oil Rika has, she can use it on her scalp. She can put it on her face. She can use it to moisturize her body also. You don't want to use anything that is solid or heavy on your scalp, specifically when you have protective styles, because it's going to get caught in the line of demarcation from where your natural hair is and where the synthetic hair or weave hair, whatever kind of hair you have in. It's going to meet there and it's just going to get stuck, and it's going to cause more buildup in dirt and debris.
Right. So there was a question earlier that said, can you use apple cider vinegar as a cleanser? You can. Someone asked about coconut oil, castor oil. Again, what Shanika said, as far as using a heavier butters and solid oils, you probably want to refrain from doing that, because that's just going to add extra buildup to your scalp and to your hair. It's not fast absorbing. So if you use a liquid oil, the liquid oil is fast absorbing and doesn't cause as much buildup. If you use a oil or butter that is in its solid form, then it's going to cause a little bit more buildup and it's not going to soak in as quickly. And it could re-solidify onto the hair or scalp. And so that's why we suggest to use an oil that's in a liquid form.
Right.
So if you have like a refractionated coconut oil, you can use that because it's in a liquid form.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do y'all have any other questions about oils, astringents, how to care for the hair while it's in its protective style before we move on? There's one more step that you definitely can do to care for your crochet, care for your braid style, even some wigs and weaves, and that would be to apply a alcohol-free foam to the hair. And what you would want to do, I don't have one with me today, but what you would do is you would apply the foam to the actual like braid all the way from scalp to ends, and then use a scarf to tie the hair down so that you can help control the frizz. And you can do that same method with weaves and wigs to kind of help fluff or recurl the hair. The curl pattern, if you have like a curly wig or something like that, you can put a little foam or mousse in the actual wig or weave to kind of help retain the curl. And so you can do that again with Senegalese twist. You can do that with your crochet styles to help kind of fluff the crochet hair back up. And you just want to make sure that you're using a alcohol-free or low alcohol foam so that you're not drying your hair out while you're using that particular product.
And it doesn't have to be anything that is super expensive at all, because typically, like if you have box braids or crochets, or if you've installed hair into your head that is fairly inexpensive, you're going to throw it away after you take it out. So you don't want to waste super expensive product on hair that you're just going to put in a trash can. So
exactly. Again, because it's synthetic hair, you just don't waste your money on a really, really expensive foam or mousse, but definitely don't use something that's so cheap that it's going to dry your hair out as well.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay. And so we're going to move forward to the takedown. All right. So when you are taking down your protective style, Let's see, start from the bottom, meaning you're going to get a comb, usually a fine tooth comb. And like with my box braids, I would probably cut like right here, because my hair comes down. Well, just don't cut your hair off. And this happens a lot when we have clients that sometimes, want to take their own hair down, is that you have to be mindful of where your hair ends in the protective style. Make sure you know where that is. And if you're not sure, just start at the very, very bottom and work your way up. And so you would start at the bottom with your fine tooth comb. And then you would literally like unbraid it or untwist it down from the bottom up. And once you get to the top, you want to make sure that I'll usually detangle each piece that I unbraid. And that just helps with overall making sure that you don't have these huge matted pieces of hair from having your protective style up too long. Do you have anything to add to that, Shanika, as far as where to start?
I think where to start is great. I want to piggyback on the detangling, why it's important to detangle. Specifically before you apply water to your hair. If you don't detangle your hair before you apply water to your hair, it will tangle more and you will have a big dreadlock on your head. And chances are you might have to do, your hair might have to be cut a little bit or a lot. I've had a situation where a young lady came in, she had a weave installed, she took it out at home herself, but before she was able to detangle it, which is physically, she combed it out. Well, before she was able to comb it out completely, making sure there were no tangles left from the protective style, she washed her hair and it basically shrunk up like a cotton ball, maybe. I don't know if that's the best analogy, but it shrunk up and I was unable to detangle it. And I physically had to cut her hair to about 4 inches. I know this young lady, she's she's a daughter of a good friend of mine, and her hair has recovered and she has a full head of hair again. This was a few years ago, but it was a little bit traumatizing. So just keep that in mind. Detangle completely before you apply any water to your hair.
Yes.
If you want hair later on.
Please. It's not only traumatizing to you all, it's traumatizing to us too, because we do not want to cut your hair, nor do we want to spend hours upon hours trying to salvage your hair either, because that can be super painful as well to us and to you, so definitely if you're going to tackle taking down your own protective style, definitely follow these tips and tricks to make sure that you don't have those concerns. So another thing that can help with detangling is to make sure that you're using like some type of detangling spray or a conditioner onto the actual like strand or section that you're working on, to make sure that you can have that slip to really get through the hair while you're detangling it. Because you want to make sure, again, you start at the bottom, but you want to make sure as you get up to that scalp that eventually, with, I would say even like a medium tooth, like not a big tooth comb, not a super like rat tail skinny tooth comb, but like a medium, just a regular size comb that you can literally comb that hair from scalp to ends all the way through. And then that way, you know that your hair is free of all tangles. And in order to get to that point where you can comb it from scalp to ends, you may have to use some type of detangling spray or actual conditioner to help you get through that process. Okay. But don't start here and just start raking through your hair, because we talked about that earlier about having the shedding. So you're going to have some shedding, you're going to have some hair that's going to come out naturally. But if you are raking and pulling on your hair a lot, you'll actually pull out some of your own hair that is not ready to come out just yet. Right. Shanika, did you want to add on to that?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay. People always get so afraid of of what, like, oh, this big old mat of hair came out of my head. And that is something that will happen. You'll have a lot of shedding, but your scalp shouldn't be, unless you're like extremely like tender scalp, it shouldn't hurt. You should not have any bruises or abrasions or red spots on your scalp after you have a protective style, because if you do, then that means that you might have pulled out some of the hair that was not ready to come out just yet.
Right.
There's a question, I think. Let's see. What should you use? What detangling product should you use? I don't have a brand that I would suggest. I mean, we have several detangling sprays that we have available at the salon, but any detangling spray that will allow you to, have some slip. One of our favorites is Satin Tame. We like to use that a lot. It's a great detangling spray, but really, I don't think any particular brand is gonna blow it out of the water versus, anything. The point of the detangling spray is that it's helping like lower the pH of the hair. It's giving you some slip so that you can really get in there and get all those tangles out.
You can also use your, make a mixture with your conditioner. And if you have curly natural hair, you should be using a moisturizing, hydrating conditioner, which usually also will detangle a little bit. So make a mixture with your conditioner and some water in a water bottle and shake it up, and you can make your own detangling spray if you, don't have any on hand.
Absolutely. And then after you detangled and everything is detangled from scalp to end, you want to make sure that you use a shampoo. And I like to use a clarifying shampoo or chelating shampoo, and then follow that up with a hydrating shampoo afterwards. So my first shampoo is usually a deep cleansing shampoo, or like I said, a chelating or a clarifying shampoo, and then follow that up with a hydrating shampoo. And the reason why you want to do that is to make sure that you're getting all the dirt and debris out of your hair. And that's why you want to use a deep cleansing shampoo for that first shampoo. And then to try to put that moisture back into the hair, use a hydrating shampoo next. And you may need to shampoo it 3 times, 4 times, depending on how you care for your hair during the protective style or how long you had it in. But just make sure that you get all that dirt and debris out of the hair. And then next, what would you do, Shanika?
Deep condition.
Can't stress enough. And we talked about that last week, so we're not even going to go into it deep, but definitely deep condition. If you missed it, go back to the first video and watch it, and we give wonderful suggestions about what you should do to deep condition. Okay. Yeah. All righty. So we just want to thank you all for watching the video. We know that it was short, but we didn't want to go super long because we gave so much information on our last video. If you all have any additional questions, don't hesitate to hit us up, to comment. Again, our Instagram is CR Beauty Bar, Facebook CNR Beauty Bar, YouTube CNR Beauty Bar, and you can always email us as well. We'll put our email address in the comments, but it's professionalopinionllc@gmail.com. So you can definitely send us questions, or if you would like to purchase product from us, send us your name, your address, your phone number, and what product it is that you're interested in purchasing. And we are doing delivery. We're doing shipping free. And so you can take advantage of that, and we will ship it to you as soon as we can. Shanika, did you want to talk about the gift cards or other ways that they can help us?
Absolutely. We just want to, like, piggybacking off of Rika, we just want to thank you all for tuning in and continuing to support us while, everything is going on the way it is. If you want to continue to support us as a salon, there's a couple things that you can do. You can leave us a review on many platforms. You can leave a review on Facebook, on Google. If you've been to the salon, you can leave a review on Vagero.com. You can buy gift cards from us, which is something that you'll be able to use when we do open the salon back up. You can buy them for yourself, or you can gift them to someone. You can give us referrals. We know that we're not open yet, but we will be open again. So if you love us like we love you, you can tell your people about us and send them our way. If they can't, come to us physically right now, like nobody can, send them to our YouTube page, send them to our Facebook page so they can get this information. Yeah, that's pretty much what you can do to help.
Absolutely. So again, just thank you all. We love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like this on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share it on Facebook. We had, I think, over 2,000 views for our first video. So that just blew our minds. Thank you so much for your support. And we just really appreciate it. Definitely leave us some more suggestions on what you all want us to talk about next time. And we'll make sure that we'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.